You're probably scrolling through a dozen home gym options, wondering if any of them will actually let you get a solid full-body workout without turning your garage into a steel jungle or blowing your budget. You don't want to waste money on a machine that looks impressive on the box but ends up gathering dust because it doesn't fit your routine or space. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. And I'm going to walk through the real-world pros and cons so you can decide if the RITFIT M2 Pro 3D Smith machine is the right fit for you. First off, let's talk about why buying a home gym is such a gamble. A lot of people assume bigger is better and end up with a bulky rack that takes up half the room, or they pick a cheap combo that wobbles whenever they load a barbell. The biggest pain points I keep hearing from folks are, the machine is too complicated to assemble, the cables feel cheap, the weight stack doesn't actually cover the range they need, or the whole thing just looks like a piece of furniture you can't move. With the M2 Pro, the promise is an all-in-one system that replaces a separate Smith machine, cable tower, and a bunch of free weights, all while staying under 300 pounds of built-in resistance. That's a lot to ask, so let's break down what you actually get when you open the box. The M2 Pro arrives in a fairly compact kit. The frame is built from 13-gauge steel tubing that's been upsized to 60,602 mm, which feels sturdier than the thinner tubes you see on budget rigs. Assembly takes about an hour if you've got a basic tool set and a friend to hold parts in place. The biggest hidden step is aligning the dual cable pulleys. Those aluminum pulleys with sealed bearings need to be snug so the cables glide smoothly, otherwise you'll hear that dreaded squeak that signals premature wear. Once everything is bolted down, the machine stands about 8 foot tall and 4 feet wide, leaving enough room for a yoga mat or a set of dumbbells on the side, but you'll still need a clear ceiling height for overhead presses. In day-to-day use, the M2 Pro tries to mimic the natural arc of a free-weight barbell, which is what the 3D Smith label is all about. The bar travels on a guided rail that isn't a straight-up hand-down line. Instead, it tilts slightly as you press, giving you a more realistic shoulder position and reducing stress on the wrists. For people who are nervous about going solo with a barbell, that guided motion can feel safer, especially during squats or bench presses where you can't spot yourself. The dual cable system adds a decent amount of versatility. You can do lat pulls, triceps pushdowns, low rows, and even cable crossovers by attaching the appropriate handles. The cables have a 2-to-1 mechanical advantage, so you get a smoother resistance curve compared to a single pulley setup. The built-in weight stack is advertised at 286 pounds, which is split across the Smith bar and the cables. In practice, you'll find the bar's stack starts at 30 pounds in increments by 5 pounds up to 140 pounds, while the cable side goes from 10 pounds to 146 pounds in similar steps. That gives you enough resistance for most beginner and intermediate programs, but if you're a seasoned lifter who routinely loads 200 pounds on a squat, you'll hit the ceiling quickly. The good news is you don't need to buy plates or worry about loading/unloading. They're all built in, which cuts down on clutter and eliminates the risk of plates rolling away. The downside is you lose the incremental flexibility of plates. You can't add a 2.5 pounds bump if you're trying to nail a specific rep scheme. Another practical consideration is the range of motion on the cable side. Because the pulleys sit relatively high on the frame, overhead movements like straight-arm pull-downs feel natural, but low-row exercises are a bit cramped. You'll have to step forward a little to get a full stretch, which can feel awkward if you have a low ceiling. Also, the cables use steel-coated rope that can fray over time if you're constantly pulling heavy loads. They're not as durable as the braided steel cables you see on higher-end gyms, but for the price point they hold up reasonably well for a year or two of regular use. So, who should consider buying the M2 Pro? If you're a beginner to intermediate fitness enthusiast who wants a single piece of equipment that covers most compound lifts, a few isolation moves, and you value the safety net of a guided bar, this machine hits a sweet spot. It's especially appealing if you live in an apartment or a small garage where a full power rack would be overkill, and you appreciate not having to buy and store a full set of plates. The all-in-one design also means fewer moving parts to maintain. Just keep the pulleys clean and the weight stack pins lubricated, and you're good to go. On the flip side, you'll want to skip this.